This is Trademark East Africa, growing prosperity through trade. Now let's talk trade.
The movement of goods across East Africa will become much faster this year as the region moves towards completing its one-stop border posts across the borders of Tanzania, Kenya, Burundi, Uganda, Rwanda, and South Sudan. These one-stop border posts, known as OSBPs, will significantly contribute to trade facilitation in the East Africa community and will especially benefit the landlocked partner states. They will lead to the reduction in time that importers and exporters spend to clear goods at the border. But how do these OSBPs differ from the border posts that are already in place? Why are they important? And what will it mean to the cost of doing business in the East African community? My guest today is one of East Africa's most respected experts in trade facilitation and integrated border management. With a background as a consultant in trade facilitation, he is the one who's leading Trademark East Africa's effort in the construction and operationalization of 13 one-stop border posts across East Africa. Theo Lyimo, welcome to Let's Talk Trade.
Thank you, Dennis. Glad to be here.
To start with, how do these OSBPs differ from the ones that are currently in place?
The OSBPs will be modern buildings with adequate office accommodation, equipped with computers, modern furniture, and even with networks for internet. Then the second difference is that as you cross the border at present, say you are going to Tanzania or to Uganda, say across Taveta or Holili, you stop twice. Once in Kenya, where exit formalities are carried out, and then you cross, you stop again on the other side. And so you stop twice. With the OSBPs, you will stop only once in the country where you are going, in the country of entry, where both exit and entry formalities will be carried out. And this will be also for trucks that are crossing the border. They will no longer stop in the country of exit, but go directly in the country of entry, where you'll find Kenya and officials of the other country working side by side. And hence the name one-stop border post.
Okay, so there is actually a lot of difference. What will be the impact of these one-stop border posts in terms of doing business across East Africa?
We are expecting to reduce the time it takes a truck to cross the border by about 30%. This, of course, will translate into reduction of costs. It takes a lot of money to retain a truck at the border. It's said that it takes about $200 a day when you keep a truck at the border. We are expecting to make a savings of $70 million a year in East Africa with the introduction of the one-stop border post.
That's quite a feat. And in theory, this is supposed to work well in terms of making sure that government officials and cross-border officials sit and operate in another country. How feasible is this, considering there are issues like work permits and other problems that government officials have to contend with?
Well, actually, there won't be any issues because there is legislation which has been passed by the East African Legislative Assembly, EALA, which will lay down the rights and obligations of countries that are setting up one-stop border posts. The legislation will enter into force early next year. But in the meantime, countries setting up one-stop border posts have concluded bilateral agreements with identical provisions, with provisions identical to those that are in the legislation. Actually, governments and border agencies are very keen to move into the one-stop border posts.
Okay. How much has Trademark East Africa spent in setting up the border posts, and are the respective governments expected to pay this money back?
No, the governments will not pay back the money because all the infrastructure projects are funded by grants. That is to say, they are not loans, and therefore governments are not going to pay back. We invest between $5 and $8 million in an OSBP, and we are spending about $118 million for the OSBPs in East Africa, including a short road in Uganda.
Okay, and when are these OSBPs expected to start operations?
Well, they have actually started operations. The one-stop border post of Kabanga and Kobero on the Burundi-Tanzania border started operations in June last year. And the OSBPs of Taveta and Holili started operations in June this year. So by the end of the year, by December this year, majority of the OSBPs will be operational.
Here's a clip that shows the positive impact of OSBPs on the Kenya border at Taveta.
Kwa mimi nionavyo, naona kama kuna urahisi mkubwa sana kwa sisi. Yaani imerahisisha mambo mengi, shughuli zinaenda kama kawaida. Sijui kupata shida yote hapa, kwa hiyo siwezi kueleza kwa undani zaidi, maana mimi mwenyewe binafsi sijui kupata tatizo lolote hapa. Naona shughuli zangu zinaenda vizuri. Kija hapa nafanya shughuli zangu, border process zinaenda vizuri, navuka naenda, nikirudi ni hivyo.
Now, traditionally, border crossings have had a bad reputation for issues as connected to corruption, and also are unsafe places for women in which women then work. How far are you going in terms of allaying fears of women that it is actually a good place to work now?
Well, it is true that at some borders, especially borders between conflict countries or borders with conflict countries, women are harassed. But it is not so much, I think, with places like Holili and Taveta. It is also true that there are corruption at some border posts, not mainly in East Africa, but we don't want to take any chance. So what we are doing, the facilities are already gender friendly. We have amenities, separate amenities for men and women. The women amenities have additional facilities. To give an example, like where to hang a handbag, and then there is enough lighting. And in addition, we shall provide training to officials on to make them more gender sensitive. Now, about corruption, we are organizing conferences for importers to sensitize them, to give them a knowledge of their rights and obligations, so that when they are asked to pay bribe, they know their rights, and they also know their obligations. We are also supporting the revenue authorities and other border agencies in their effort to enhance the integrity of their officials.
Oh, okay, that's very interesting, especially for the aspect of women, how you're tackling corruption. Now, a final thought. We've talked a lot about borders, we've talked about trade, we've talked about efficiency. In what way will all this then help to really improve the economic prosperity of the region?
Well, as I said, it is all about cost reduction. We are reducing the time for transport in the region. We are reducing the cost of doing business. And also, these things are related to regional integration, to the integration of the EAC. And all these are essential for the prosperity of East Africa.
Theo Lyimo, thank you for appearing on Let's Talk Trade.
Thank you.
That was an edition of Let's Talk Trade presented by Dennis Kashero. For more information on any of the topics being discussed on the show, visit our website www.trademarkea.com.